heard a young lady tell her story the other day. She told it with normal, everyday, honest words, and she talked about God's work in her life. She spoke to my heart, and I was so encouraged. When someone speaks to us so that we really understand and hear what they are saying, our hearts are encouraged. That got me thinking about language and communication and hearing things. I mean, really hearing things that we need to hear deep in our heart. So back in my early 20s, I spent a couple weeks in Venezuela. It was a trip of a lifetime for many reasons. One of my best friends was doing his internship down there for ministry, and he wasn't exactly fluent in Spanish yet, so that brought some obstacles. Anyway, the three of us went down there to help him lead a retreat for the missionary kids, and we also wanted to check out the country a little bit as well. One of the first events was to hike up El Avila, which is this huge mountain in Caracas. And I was going to lead a Bible study for the kids up at the top of the mountain. So I and a few others, we were running ahead to get ahead of the group to set up early for the devotion. Well, on the way up, I slipped and I hit my shin really hard on a rock. And at first I was like, oh, that hurt, and I kept on going. And then I was like, I think I better stop. And I looked down, well, and let's just say, I hope that's the first and last time I ever see a bone in my body outside of an X-ray. Well, after 2 different trips to 2 different clinics, and a week later, I had developed some problems with that cut on my leg. Part of the problem was my friend only spoke a little Spanish. And while I passed AP Spanish in high school, it just wasn't enough to communicate about getting my leg fixed up in the right way. So finally, after a week of traveling around and trying to deal with this leg wound, we found a hospital with a doctor who had studied in the United States. He spoke English fluently. The communication barrier had finally broken down, and I could tell him exactly what happened. And he told me exactly what he was going to do to get the infection out, clean me up, stitch me up, send me on the path to healing. Hearing him speak was gospel to my ears, gospel to my heart. And he let me know that it was going to be perfectly fine, and I would have some scarring for sure, but I was going to be just fine. He spoke to my heart. He spoke my language. He spoke my heart language. He spoke so I could understand. He patched me up physically and verbally. And I started on the journey of healing. Sometimes you have to hear someone speak to you in the language you understand, in the words you understand, in order for the message to get to you, to get to your heart. Communicating so that people understand is huge. Well, on the day of Pentecost, we see this played out in a way greater than healing a leg wound. We see this played out in bringing healing to the hearts and lives of all humanity, all nations. At Pentecost, the Holy Spirit came upon the believers, and they were able to speak in other languages. It was a miracle. And there were people from all over the world there. It says from every nation under heaven. Each of them heard their own language being spoken, and they were completely amazed, and they said to each other, they said, from Acts chapter 2, said, we hear them declaring the wonders of God in our own tongues, in our own languages. At Pentecost, God is communicating how important it is for all people to hear His message so that they understand it, so that they really hear it in their language, in their heart, in words they understand. And this isn't just a communication of words and facts to a kid who cut his leg down in Venezuela, but a communication that brings healing. It brings salvation to the hearts of all people. Don't you love it when someone speaks to your heart? Not just churchy words and theological jargon, but words that you understand, words that resonate with your heart and who you are as a human being. I mean, if you're like me, you need those heart language words. They're life-giving. Pentecost happened so that all people could experience the wonders of God and really hear God speak to their heart. I want to speak to your heart from my heart. More importantly, to your heart from God's heart. You matter. You belong. You have a purpose. You matter to God. He created you in His image. The creator of the universe created you in His image. You are the pinnacle of His creation. And not only that, He sent His Son Jesus to die for you. I mean, if you ever question whether you matter or not, don't. God says you matter. Let that sink into your heart. Be encouraged. You matter and you belong. I mean, you were created for friendships around God and His Word. Jesus died so that you could be a part of this new community. Right? Everyone needs a place to belong. And your place in God's community is essential. Without you, the church is not complete. It is not whole. Let that sink into your heart. You matter, you belong, you have a purpose. God uniquely created you with unique spiritual gifts, unique heart, unique abilities, a unique personality, unique experiences, both good and bad, all for a greater purpose. He wants you to speak to the hearts of others in the way they understand. The God of the universe has chosen to speak to others through you. It's huge, it's humbling, it's awesome. And there's someone in your life right now that needs you to speak from your heart to theirs, from God's heart to theirs. That's your purpose. From my heart, from God's heart to your heart, hear this. You matter. You belong. You have a purpose in Jesus.
Thanks so much for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe if you like what you saw, so that you continue to know what ALTIUS is doing.